Hello and welcome to another episode of Geek Speak. We're your hosts, I'm Chris.
I'm Jonathan.
And let's jump straight into it. Despite negative reviews, as you've probably seen if you've been anywhere on the internet in the last month or so, Suicide Squad is actually looking set to do something that neither Man of Steel nor Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice was able to accomplish, and stay at number one at the box office domestically, so this is mostly in the US, for 3 consecutive weeks. Which is pretty incredible, considering, this did come out to overwhelmingly negative reviews on just about every review site there is.
I think people are a bit too critical. Sometimes. It could be a good movie and they don't even know.
A lot of people have said that there is a massive disconnect between film critics and the film-going public, which I really have to agree. Film critics go out and they watch every single film that comes out in cinemas, whereas the average person might go and see 1 or 2 movies a month at most. And personally, I've seen like four movies this year in cinema, or 3, I think. So, using that as an average, somewhere between the two of them, what the film-going public is looking for and what a film critic is looking for are totally different things.
I think it can be taken too seriously.
Yeah.
Just the continuity and things like that, and it can prevent people from enjoying it.
Yeah, and this weekend, Suicide Squad is set to make a total domestic haul of $261 million, which will actually put it for this weekend above its current competitors, War Dogs, Kubo and the Two Strings, Sausage Party, and even the remake of Ben-Hur, which, admittedly, I'm not surprised about it beating Ben-Hur, because they're remaking a classic movie that honestly didn't need a remake, which is kind of Hollywood's deal at the moment, which, well, I could talk about that for a long time, but I won't.
Okay, moving on to my first story. Bleach is actually getting a live action series, so that will be awesome for everyone who's actually interested in that sort of genre and that sort of film. It should be good.
I'm looking forward to this. The Bleach anime is an incredible anime. The manga has an incredible story. Even one of the big things that the Bleach anime did that a lot of its compatriots like Naruto and One Piece did poorly was that where they had fillers that were just like random episode-to-episode stories, whenever Bleach had fillers that were more than 1 or 2 episodes, they actually had a whole story arc, which was not something you see anywhere else, and it's probably the thing that they did best compared to anything else.
I'm always hesitant when it comes to live actions of anime, but I'm a little bit excited for this just because the fact that Tite Kubo is involved in the production. So he was the one who actually made the manga, for anyone out there that doesn't know.
Yeah, and
so keeping it to the original ideas of the original author, he's got a bit of say, which it's not just some random production company saying, let's make some money out of this. It's exciting in the fact that we haven't seen anything from Bleach on the screen since they discontinued it in the anime, which didn't finish.
Yeah, just having Tite Kubo as part of the production is a massive step from what they've done with just about any other adaptation of this sort. When you look at the Avatar adaptation, which was absolute rubbish, the Dragon Ball Z adaptation, which was absolute rubbish, the pretty much any adaptation that's gone from comic or animated to live action, apart from the Marvel and the 80s Batman movies, and even the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Anything other than that was rubbish compared to the original.
I'd write it off if it wasn't for him being involved, honestly. If he wasn't involved, I wouldn't bother, but since he's involved,
yeah,
I'd be looking out for it.
Him being involved in the production's probably going to be its saving grace. Now, another bit of news, which in this case is actually a two-parter. First off, streaming service Hulu is dropping its free streaming, opting to instead go over to a wholly subscription-based service similar to Netflix. And in another move that mirrors Netflix, they are teaming up with Marvel to produce a live-action adaptation of the comic series The Runaways, which has nothing to do with the band of the same name from a few decades ago. This one is a story of 6 teenagers who all run away from home. They can barely stand each other, but they're all teaming up against their parents, who are the members of an evil crime syndicate known as the Pride. They're not all mutants, but they do all have some sort of ability, which...
It being a live action, what's your take?
If it was any company other than Marvel, I would be very hesitant about it. But simply the fact that it is Marvel, and looking at not only their the last decade of their movie franchises, but also their live action shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, Iron Fist, which is still coming, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, they've all been outstanding adaptations of Marvel material. And even though this is Hulu, who's a new entrant into making these adaptations, it's just the fact that it's got Marvel behind it, and knowing how hands-on they can be with their product, it should do really well.
It'll do good, I think.
Yeah,
Marvel are pretty solid.
Yeah, I've read a few of the issues of Runaways when it first started back in 2005, before they cancelled it for a year in 2006. But it's a really good story that really, even if it didn't have that whole superpowers element to it, just being a story of kids rebelling against their criminal parents would be worth the watch.
Cool. Alright, that sounds good. So I'm moving on to my second story now. Facebook and Unity have actually entered a partnership for Facebook gaming. So what this aims to do is basically take your Facebook browser games such as Farmville, all those low-key sort of basic
or your
games
kind of random clicker, or your, as John said, stuff like Farmville, Agario, Slitherio, all your standard games that are known for being Facebook exclusive or primarily on Facebook.
The ones that don't really have a lot of content to run are easy to run on Facebook only, pretty much. That will actually make them a lot more high-powered. So they're moving into a more new revolution of gaming, if you will, which will be good. I mean, I think it'll be great for the video gaming industry as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, Unity is primarily a game engine. It's
used in a lot of a lot of applications on Android and a lot of applications on the iPhone. If as you start an app, you can see it comes up Unity, but primarily it does have its own software as well.
Yeah, like we said,
on the computer.
It's its own game engine, but then it also incorporates elements similar to a game provider, or something similar to what Steam has and what Blizzard has with their Battle.net app, and basically that kind of thing where you can go specifically to Unity to get their games. And now teaming with Facebook, you can do it through Facebook.
So this could actually mean the actual launch of, similar to how you would launch an app on your phone, you just obviously just click in the browser and it'll show as a pop-up as a launch. I don't know how the way they're going to do it, but I imagine they won't be able to run the high-end stuff through the browser itself, so...
No, but...
Especially if it's got a Unity player, so...
Using this as a basis, I mean, Facebook already owns the Oculus company, so it's probable now that they've got their VR system, they've got their Facebook social system, and now they're getting the Unity game system. It'll be a way that they can have not only the social content, but also now that gaming content on a AAA gaming device.
Yeah, what they definitely needed. It's got a large gap there that they can fill, I think, from Facebook browser games that are quite low end, quite low key, quite like just time wasters. It'll definitely see the move from that to more high-end quality games.
Yeah, well, now that they've got that infrastructure and now that hardware, they could pump out a AAA game even.
Yeah.
And
get people to pay for it via Facebook if they want to.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook has that monetization option. I mean, already you can pay to boost posts and pay to get extra likes and... well, not extra likes, but extra attention to your posts.
Pay to play in most of the games as well.
Yeah, a lot of the games have microtransactions, so it's not much of a step from there to a fully paid game.
Yeah.
And with this engine, getting the quality, like the quality of Facebook games can go all the way up to like current gen AAA titles now.
It'll be quite a big move in the industry, I think.
Yeah.
Something to watch out for PC gamers as well. Could see a lot of casual gamers move up to becoming more than casual.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if their earliest forays into this sort of thing were just like doing better looking or fancier looking versions of their current games. Maybe doing something like a 3D version of a currently 2D game, simply because they have the technology now.
Yeah.
Similar to how games went in the early 90s when they made the shift from 2 to 3D.
It's certainly exciting, and it's certainly something to look out for. I'm excited about it. I reckon it'll be good for the gaming industry to break away from that geek sort of persona. If everyone's doing it, you'll break away from that, surely.
Yeah, and even without counting the geek connotations towards gaming, this will stop some of the more hardcore gamers from just using the term, and I use it only for demonstration purposes here, but using the term filthy casuals. Which...
yeah, that too.
This should...
yeah, it will.
Now, as we usually do, time for our final recommendations. As I've watched nearly half the series now, I'm going to recommend the show Stranger Things. It's definitely something to watch if you were a fan of 80s horror and sci-fi movies. It's got a lot of throwbacks to them. It's actually set in that 80s time period, and it looks authentically 80s, just in higher definition video. It's brilliantly written. It's kind of hard to describe without spoilers. It's very X-Files-ish, but without the constantly changing story from episode to episode.
On my side, I'm going to recommend Continuum this week. I've been watching this for a while now. It's quite a good series. It starts off in the future. I can't remember what year for the life of me, but it's about 2077. Pretty much you've got a different sort of world in 2077 where governments are pretty much gone broke, and it's a corporation run world, and there's this radical group, I can't remember the name of them for Liberate, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of this series myself.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's incredible.
And they build this device that allows them to travel back in time to, 2012, and they get stuck there virtually with a protector, of course.
Yeah, a protector is basically like the police, only run by the corporations.
Yeah, so it's virtually this one protector and this gang of, terrorists, if you will, for lack of a better word. So it's a good watch if you've got the time. It's definitely worth looking into if you've got nothing there.
Yeah, it's definitely a good series.
It reminds me a lot of the time travel element. Reminds me a lot of Doctor Who, which is why I like it.
There's not much that I can say really without spoiling it, as I have gone a long way into the series. I'm
trying to not say too much as well.
But I will say this is one of the best, it's the best iteration of time travel and the effects of time travel that I have seen since something like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And admittedly, Doctor Who is very careful to not have major impacts on the timeline, whereas this does, definitely.
Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys.
And as usual, if you've got anything you want to talk to us about, anything you'd like us to talk about in next week's show, feel free to drop them in the comments below or hit us up on our Facebook, which will be in the description. And yeah, until next time, goodbye and good week.